Play ball.
How you doing, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of the Brushback with JP Ricciardi. I'm John Arezzi. Let's bring on the star of the Brushback, the former GM of the Toronto Blue Jays, front office executive for the Giants, Mets, and A's, the baseball lifer, JP himself. JP, how you doing, man?
Hey, John. Thanks for the nice introduction, and it's great to see you.
You deserve it.
I don't know about that. I'll take it, though.
How was your, we had a short little break here. How was your Memorial Day weekend? Or what's been going on?
Everything was great. Everything was great. I think it's important that we take time and remember all those who gave so much for us, that we have that freedom.
Yeah.
And, I think Memorial Day, like so many other holidays that we remember so many great people before us, is important. And it's kind of a sober holiday, but one in which you celebrate and
remember.
Thankfulness.
Yeah, I mean, you remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country.
100%, men and women. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I know that you have been a bit busy, even though you're not traveling all over the country anymore. That's gone now, but you are doing a little commute. There's been some developments in your life, and it has to do with the Boston Red Sox and their AAA affiliate, which is right near where you live. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I got approached and asked if I would be willing to do some analysis for the broadcast of the AAA games. So I was very excited to do that. And I did 4 games last week. And I got to see not only the Worcester club play, but the Norfolk club play, which was loaded with some really good players, Jackson Holiday being one of them. So it was great. I got to do the color, and it was a lot of fun. It was pretty natural. Like I described to my wife, I said, it's like scouting a game and just talking about what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So it was great. We had a lot of fun. I've got a bunch of games lined up coming up. So just another thing to get involved with and enjoy.
Keeps you in the game, and also gives you the opportunity to see some of these young prospects that are coming up.
Yeah, and you get to put on your general manager's hat, your scouting hat, your player development hat, and share some great stories and get to learn about some of the up-and-coming players. So it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully it can lead to some other things.
Oh, of course, but we're happy for you, and I know that not only this podcast gets you, keeps you in the game a little bit, but also doing that broadcasting for a great organization, obviously, right in your backyard. So it's good all around, and congratulations on that gig.
Thanks, John.
Okay, so we're going to go right into the hot takes. There's been a lot going on in baseball, as there is each and every week. But Major League Baseball made historic news this past Wednesday with their decision to now incorporate into the permanent records of Major League Baseball 7 different Negro League teams from 1925 to 1948. So now these stats of these players are now in the Major League Baseball history books.
Yeah, I think it's probably a long time coming. I think the great thing about baseball is that so many people have played our game and continue to play our game, and it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your culture is. It doesn't matter what your color is. And unfortunately, the Negro players weren't allowed to play in the big leagues. That wasn't their fault. That was baseball's fault.
Yes.
And now I think baseball's doing a really good job of recognizing. I have to believe that there was so many good players in that league that would have made Major League Baseball from the 20s right up until Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier a better league. But because of the prejudice that existed, they weren't allowed to play. So slowly baseball is starting to do the right thing. And I think the fact that these guys, wherever their stats were, they could only play in the league that they were in. So that's all they could control. And, the stories you hear from so many of the old timers of how good some of the players were. I wish we had an opportunity to see those guys, but I'm glad baseball's stepping up and recognizing them and giving them an opportunity to be recognized on the national stage.
Yeah, I mean, it especially affected a guy like Josh Gibson, whose plaque is in the Hall of Fame, and there were rumors
Satchel Paige, he didn't pitch in the big leagues till he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
So they would love to have seen, or heard what Satchel Paige could have done, in the 30s when he was in the prime of his career. So
right.
I just, I think it's it's unfortunate. It's a black mark on our country. It's a black mark on baseball that individuals were excluded and not included. And you want to be the best at what you do, and the only way you can be the best is if you include everybody. And like I said, I think it's a long time coming, but at least we're moving in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. And just looking at the stats, because it's changed some of these career stats, especially when it goes to batting average, career batting average, where Ty Cobb, it was always his record at a 367 average. And now Josh Gibson surpasses him as the number one all time leader in batting average with these new records put into the history books at 372. And now 5 of the 10 players on that career high batting average leaderboard are from the Negro League. So that was significant. And even when it comes to career OPS, Josh Gibson again, now over Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Lou Gehrig. So these records are significant. They're being recognized for the first time, and everyone said it is about time, and everyone is happy that it's happened for the most part. But
Well,
it's bringing
I think
bringing these
you
guys
know,
into the limelight.
John, if you could talk to Ted Williams and Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, I bet you those guys would say it's important that the guys who play baseball, no matter what their color, should be honored and should be included. And
Right.
I think if they had their choices, they would never exclude those type of players.
Very, very
Maybe
true.
Ty Cobb would.
Very true. All right, let's get to a couple of hot takes here, JP. We have two really surprising teams in the major leagues right now. Cleveland Guardians, hot as a pistol. Give us your hot take on this surprising Cleveland club.
I think the two teams that I'm surprised at what they're doing, and I'm happy for one of them more than the other one because the other one has had a little bit of success. But the Guardians and the Royals have played really, really well. I think it's a testament to their development. I think it's a testament to a little bit of patience, especially on the Royals' part. But both of those clubs, the Guardians lead all the American League in runs scored. I think they're at 286, and the Royals are right behind them at 276 runs. So they're scoring runs, and they're playing really good baseball. And I think, for an organization like Kansas City that's been down for a long time, it's nice to see they get to hang their hat on some really good young players. Bobby Witt Jr., they're getting some really good pitching. And it's fun to see that, we're not always talking about the Phillies and the Braves and the Dodgers, the teams that, are big spenders and can have the resources to get a lot of good players. But you look at these teams and, they do it the old fashioned way. And sometimes it's a little painful because they have to go through some bad years to enjoy some good years. But, Cleveland's been good over the last few years, but Kansas City has been down. And I'm really happy to see that those two clubs are playing well. And I'm really happy for Stephen Vogt.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great for those individual cities as well. Everybody wants to go see a winner, and they love competitive baseball. And with these two surprising teams right now, it does nothing but good for the game of baseball in those cities. Finally, on the hot takes for this week, JP, we got to talk about the San Diego Padres relief pitcher, Jeremiah Estrada. He has struck out 13 consecutive batters. Now, in early November, he was waived by the Chicago Cubs a little more than a month ago. He was in AAA. Now he's really rocking it with the Padres. His streak of 13 consecutive strikeouts is the most ever in the expansion era.
It's incredible when you think about it. It tells a lot of stories. Were the Cubs wrong? I don't know. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions. Sometimes it's a roster decision. Sometimes it's a battle of two guys. Who are you going to keep on the roster? Who you're not? So I don't work for the Cubs, and I didn't know the player prior to this. But obviously, you have to make tough decisions in baseball. And I'm sure looking back, the Cubs are sitting there saying, "I wish we didn't do it." But under those circumstances in November, they based it on the facts that they had. So what one person's luxury is, one person's detriment is one person's gain. And that's what's great about baseball. You can be a guy that struggles with one organization and finds his groove with another organization. And I believe he is saying he's throwing a chitter. It's a changeup and a split combination. So, I love when guys are struggling somewhere and they get an opportunity to go somewhere else and resurrect their career. And you can't be, how could you be nothing but happy for this guy? But 13 guys in a row, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is, especially in a relief role too. I mean, that's crazy.
It's amazing. I mean, the thing I think of is Carl Hubble striking out 5 Hall of Famers in a row in the All-Star
Yeah.
game, and that was pretty fantastic. But now you're talking 13. That's pretty incredible, and a credit to him. You know, he kept working at it, and a good job by the Padres seeing something in him that they believe. So it's a win-win in a lot of ways.
That'll wrap up JP's hot takes, and now it's time for Batter Up with JP. On this week's Batter Up with JP, we welcome someone who played for both the Oakland A's and Toronto Blue Jays from 1999 to 2005. Played second base, shortstop, third base, DH, even pitched a couple of games in his playing career. He was a hitting coach for both the Miami Marlins and most recently with the Chicago White Sox. He's a member of the Staten Island Hall of Fame. Let's welcome Frank Menechino to Batter Up with JP.
Frankie, welcome, buddy.
How you doing, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
So let me tell you, I go back a long way with Frank. Was with him in Oakland and saw him rise up through the minor leagues to become a big league player and a very good contributing player on some playoff teams. And then I was lucky enough to get him in Toronto, where he came to us and had a great year. One of my favorites, not only because he played the game the right way, but he tells it like it is. And if you guys thought Josh Towers was entertaining, wait till you hear Frankie today. So welcome to the show, Frank.
Hey, let's talk about when you Rule 5 me, okay? That's a great story.
Go ahead, tell it.
I'll tell it. You Rule 5 me. I get Rule 5 to the Oakland A's. Keith Littman calls me up and he goes, Frank, we're glad to have you. I got you penciled in to go to Double-A. I said, what? Double-A? I'm a two-time All-Star in Double-A. You got to give me a chance to win the Triple-A job. Well, you know, we got guys here and there. And I said, Keith, thanks for the opportunity, but I think I'll just stay home. Boom, I hang up. 10 minutes later, Eddie Gennarelli calls me up. He goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? JP drafted you. He wanted you to get you over there. I said, I'm not going to Double-A. I'm not doing it. I'll stay home. I'll go get a job. I'll go in the union. I'll be a Teamster. I said, that's it. I can't do it. What am I doing here? I'm 27 years old. All right. Let me call JP. Eddie calls me back. He goes, JP said, just go to spring training, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. Keith Littman calls me back, and he goes, okay, we'll give you a chance to win the AAA job. And I said, okay, I'll be there. Well, I go to spring training. I hit 8 home runs in spring training because I got to use that bomb bat because the Oakland A's were so cheap, they didn't want to give out real wood. I hit 8 home runs. And the only reason why I made it to AAA was because Abbott and Tejada both broke their fingers in spring training. Now, what are the chances of that? Both of them taking ground balls and break their fingers. So now here I go, AAA, and I'm sitting around and I'm like, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before I'm out of here. They're going to send me to Double-A. Anyway, I'm hitting 340 at the end of June, and I go 0 for 6 in a doubleheader. I walk into the equipment room. I throw all my stuff against the freaking wall, and I hit my pinky on the corner of the door, break my pinky, and I go home. I didn't even notice. I go home. The next day I wake up. I'm like, oh, shit, my hand. I try to throw a ball, and I'm like, oh, shit, I can't even. I broke my finger. So I go to Walt Horn, and I said, Walt, I hurt my hand. He goes, how did you do it? Lifting, right? I says, no. I did it when I threw my bat. You did it lifting? I said, no. He goes, well, if you didn't do it lifting and it's self-inflicted, then you're going to be in big trouble because Littman has a rule about guys doing all this. And I was like, fuck Littman. I don't care. Listen, Spezio gets hurts his knee. 2 days later, I can't play. Anyway, I go on the DL, and Mike Quaddy puts me in the bullpen. He throws the freaking catcher's equipment at me. He goes, you got a new job. You're the bullpen catcher. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're going to be useful around here. You can't play, so you're going to be useful somehow. Dude, I was in the bullpen for 7, 8 weeks. I grew tomato plants with Gil Heredia in the bullpen in Edmonton. We grew tomato plants. Then Bellhorn hurts his side. I got no spikes, no glow. I have nothing in the dugout, but I'm active. I'm active now. Quaddy waves to me, and I'm like, who do you want up? Who? You know, he's not giving me the typical signs. He goes, you. Get a bat. You're hitting. Dude, my heart. I was never so scared before on a baseball field. I come running in. I grab DT Chroma's helmet. I grab anybody's bat. I got turfs on. I get in the box. John Halam is pitching. He throws me a fastball at my head. Strike one. I almost fall down and slip. Throws me another one up. I swing and miss. Everybody in the dugout is laughing hysterical. And I dig in, and he throws me another fastball. I tomahawk it off the center field wall. Stand-up triple, but I pop-up slide. Right in front of Quaddy. I pop-up slide, and I look in the dugout. I go, it ain't that fucking hard, boys. Dude, Quaddy was just sitting there shaking his head like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
Well, for those of you who don't know Frank Menechino, that's Frank Menechino.
Oh, my God. It was great.
So you were a total outlier.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in today's game, you don't even get drafted. 45th round.
After
Doesn't
a
even
girl.
get a chance to play today.
After a girl.
I know. I didn't want to bring that up, but since you brought it up, Dwayne Schaefer's daughter, they drafted in front of him. Then he got drafted. But he got to the big league. She didn't. Well, you played 7 years in the minor leagues before you get to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And what I want you to talk about is there's a lot of young kids who listen to this show that I didn't realize until I've gotten the feedback.
Right.
Talk to them about perseverance. Talk to them about grinding out. Talk to them about disappointment, about 7 years in the minor leagues.
Well, I got drafted as a senior in college and, 45th round, whatever. I didn't care. I just wanted a chance. So, I was short. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't, the best defensive. I could hit. I could hit a fastball. Hitting was my strong point, but I had to learn how to be better at defense. I had to learn because I was a catcher in high school. Most of my time I was a catcher, and they told me I couldn't be a catcher. So I went to junior college, Gulf Coast Junior College, and I worked with Darren Mazurowski, who really helped me defensively. Bill Mazurowski showed me how to turn a double play. So I was good there. I always had good hand, release with the ball and stuff. So here I am on my way. But what really helped me is I had nothing to lose. There was no expectations. I wasn't a high draft pick. I didn't have to meet expectations. So my expectations were, I'm going to show you. And that's where the perseverance and the little bit of the chip on my shoulder to say, oh, I can't play with these guys? Okay, watch me. So you got to work harder than everybody else. You got to play harder than anybody else. You got to run the ball out harder. You got to do everything right. And, my father always said, never give them something to talk bad about you. Never give them something to say, oh, you can't do this. Because you know what? They're going to do that on their own. The scouts, the front office, they're going to find a reason to like you. They're going to find a reason to dislike you. So if you're a horseshit player and they drafted you high, they're going to talk about all the good things you do, not the stuff you can't do. And I learned that in the minor leagues, playing every day, going through the grind, and watching guys quit. I mean, just, I can't do this. This is too hard, this and that. And that's what I fed off of. Oh, 4th round guy, huh? Oh, you're out of California, huh? Oh, it's too hot for you. Oh, it's this, that. Oh, the field's not good. That's what I used against them. And it's a mental grind because, I had a good support system. I had my dad, and he knew how to push my buttons. And when I would call and complain, my father would go, all right, if it's too hard for you, come home. how many people could say they played minor league baseball? Hey, you did great. Come on home. I'll get you a job. We'll get you, you can work construction. You could start off as a goodbye, Dad. I got to go. Click. I don't want to hear that shit. So my father always knew how to push me. And finally I said, you know what? I'm 28 years old. I'm in AAA Vancouver. And I says, there's no plan B. I have to make it now. There was no plan B. I gave it everything. And, I look back at stuff that I did, and I look back at my career, and I really wished I would have moved out of New York and moved to Florida and been in that weather all year round. I think I would have been a better player because I didn't do the cardio. I didn't do a lot of stuff I did, but I knew when I got my chance, I had to do something with it. And I was fortunate enough to get guys that get injured, and I was able to fill in. And when I did fill in, I was able to do the job that they wanted me to do. So it's my father would come home from work and say, what did you do for baseball today? I said, Dad, it's fucking November. I played hockey with my friends, and we went out and we did whatever. And he goes, you have something to do with baseball 360 days a year. You ain't that good. You need to work on hitting, fielding, running, whatever, every day. And he would pound that into me. And before you know it, I was tired of hearing it. What'd you do for baseball today? Oh, what'd I do? Oh, I threw the ball in the schoolyard off the wall. I worked on my backhand. I ran. I did this and I did that. And it helped. So a support system is good, but there is no simple way. There is no Google it, and here's the answer. You have to uninstructed hitting. I used to go to the cage, nobody around, and figure out. Hit the ball right, hit the ball center, pull the ball. There's no shortcuts, and these kids today need to learn that if they want to be good, you got to practice. If you want to be great, you got to practice your ass off.
So you get your break. You spend 7 years in the minor leagues, played really well in the minor leagues. We get you over to Oakland because you did a lot of things we like. You could hit, you drew walks, you're a tough player, and you get a chance to get to the big leagues. And you get to Oakland, you play on some really good teams. Tell us about your time in Oakland.
Oh, man, that was the best time of my life. I could really say that. And it was just unbelievable because the reason why I don't know if you remember this, JP, was I was in AAA in Vancouver, and I was an everyday second baseman my whole career. Jeff Ball gets hurt. Quaddy says, can you play third? And I was like, third? Yeah, I could play third. I played third for like 3 weeks, and then Ortiz goes down. He goes, can you play short? And I said, yeah, I could play short. So I wound up playing third, 45 games at 49 games at third, 40 games at short, and like 35 games at second. And then, Billy was like, oh shit, this guy could play all over. That's how I really got there because, my first big league game, I was playing shortstop. But because I was deathly afraid in the field, I focused so much in the field that I had the best offensive year ever of my whole career. I hit 308 with 15 homers, 10 triples, 30-something doubles. And when I got to the big leagues, I was like, holy shit, I'm here. Looking at Stairs, Giambi, Velarde, all these guys. And it was like, oh, my God. So when I first get up to the big leagues, I don't know Matt Stairs from anything. And Mike McFarland and Stairs are sitting in the cage, and I come to the cage, and I walk into the cage, and I think I'm early, right? It's like 1:30. I think I'm early. I go to the cage, and Mike McFarland goes, come here, sit down. Me, Stairs, and Velarde, don't ever let us beat you to the cage again. Otherwise, you're not going to hit. Stairs looks at me, and he goes, I hear you got a big, loud voice. And I'm like, yeah? Who told you that? He goes, oh, I hear it. He goes, I better hear that fucking loud voice on the bench. We talk shit in this dugout. Don't be one of them guys that are sitting on the bench scared to death they're in the big leagues. I said, don't fucking worry about me. I'll bet. I said, be careful what you want. I said, I got a loud voice. So I get on the bench, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, all right, let me just feel this out a little bit and see what's going on. It was junior college all over again. They are killing the other pitcher. I was like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever. And then going on the road and seeing everybody, 16 guys going to dinner. I mean, it was just, we were a group that played for each other. We didn't care about anything else. When I got out on the field and Huddy's pitching, Mulder's pitching, we're winning 8-1 in the seventh. I'm diving. I don't want Huddy to get an earned run or a bullshit run. We're diving all over the field. Chavi, we're out there for our pitchers. So we played for each other. And that was what was so special. And we had no line. There was no line to cross. If you weren't playing good or you weren't doing what you were supposed to, you got ripped. And I don't even think a lot of the coaching staff knew it. Maybe Wash knew it. But there was a lot of teammates controlling everything. I mean, you didn't get away with it. Even Giambi, nobody was safe. Giambi, hey, how about you stay in one night and be able to take BP and take some freaking ground balls once in a while? You threw that thing in the shit. Oh, you say your chest is too tight. No, you don't fucking practice, bro. Do something. I mean, there was no holding back. No.
Yeah, that was a great group. That was a great. I mean, we drafted a lot of those guys. We got guys like you. We got Matt Stairs. We signed him as a 6-year free agent. I mean, it was a really good group, and they were definitely they could go hard on and off the field.
We called ourselves Misfit Island. That's who we were, Misfit Island from the Christmas Story. We were all the toys nobody wanted, and we got together, and it's fascinating if you think about it. We were everybody nobody wanted mixed in together with some homegrown guys, and Billy brought in guys who naturally get on base. But the way we meshed together, it was unbelievable. I'll never see a team like that again, ever.
Well, someone wanted you because we wanted you.
Yeah, Misfit Island.
That's what we hung our hat on. We hung our hat on being able to get the guys that nobody wanted. Now they use metrics and all this stuff. We just scouted. We said, that guy's a good player. That guy's going to fit in with us. This guy can help us. And when people talk about all the way they dig up players with all the metrics, we just went out and scouted. And that's how we did. And we had a very small scouting staff, and we just like baseball players who weren't being given an opportunity. So you were able to take advantage of that and play on some really good A's teams.
I don't understand. And, maybe you could help me, JP, understand, because I've been in the game all this time, and I, work with players, and I'm really good with the problem child players that
I wonder why.
Yeah. That nobody can seem to do things. But I'm always on the wrong page. Hey, Frank, who should we, who do you like out of this player? This player or that player? We want to call this guy up. Which one do you prefer? I go to the baseball guy, the gamer, the guy who's going to hustle. I go to the character players, and they bring up the other guy.
Right.
So finally, I told Mark Newman, I said, stop being an asshole. And he looked at me and he goes, what's that? What, you called me an asshole? I said, no, asshole. He goes, what's that? You ask me all the time what I think and do the opposite. That's an asshole. I said, how do you bring this guy up? What kind of message? He goes, Frank, it ain't me. This is who they wanted. I asked you because I wanted you to validate my opinion. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But I don't understand how you're going to scout metrically and not have a guy go there, see how he interacts with his players, see what time he shows up, see how he practices. They're missing all that action by using
because they don't send baseball. You remember when I used to come to Vancouver, right? There was a reason I came to Vancouver. There was a reason because I was telling Huddy this the other day. Billy sends me to Tacoma to see Hudson pitch. And he calls me in the second inning. He goes, what do you think? I said, Billy, what's he doing here? I said, this guy could help. He's better than everything we got in the big leagues. We need to get this guy to the big leagues. He said, all right, go to Vancouver. Tell me who's ready. Tell me who's not ready. And that's how we did things. But today, they don't send those guys. They look at the stat sheet. They look at the data. They look at hard hit balls. They look at all the stuff that doesn't tell them what's inside the ticker from someone who could tell them what that guy brings to the table. And they get surprised when a guy comes to the big leagues and says, hey, you didn't tell me that guy was a jerk. Well, you didn't ask me, and you didn't send anybody down to find out. Now you know he's a jerk.
But why don't they do it? Is it because of money? Are they saving money with travel? Is it a
I
money
think
thing?
you have so many non-baseball people running organizations today, they don't value it. And Sandy Alderson used to say this all the time. The good baseball people are going to save me from making millions of dollars of mistakes. They're worth their weight in gold. And we have guys running organizations that don't believe in that. They think that they're smarter than everybody else, and they could just look at these numbers and they could dissect what they think is the right player and plug him in and play. And then
And
when they find
predict the
out,
future.
yeah, well, it doesn't seem to be working out too well.
No.
But anyway, you had a great career in Oakland, and I was able to get you in Toronto. What was
Hey,
your
we had a
experience?
good team in Toronto, too. The
did have
same
a good-
type of guys in Toronto.
Well, that's what we built. We built guys that were, the Catalanados, the Pete Walkers, and it's funny, all of those guys that we're talking about, a lot of them stayed in baseball. It shows you how much they love the game. And you had a great year for us the first year we brought you over. You hit over 300. And here's one of my best Frank Menechino stories. We're playing the Diamondbacks, and Randy Johnson is pitching on Sunday. It's getaway day. And I just got someone from Billy to help me get through the season. He was a fifth starter. I can't remember his name. Really nice kid. He pitched at VMI. Oh, really good guy. So it's Randy Johnson against him on a Sunday. So you remember Ron Sandelli, our chief of security?
Yeah.
Sando used to look at the betting line every day, and they said, "Hey, Ron, just for fun, we got to be big dogs today." He goes, "You sitting down?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "We're favorites." I says, "Get out of here." Randy Johnson against, and I apologize, I can't remember his name. I said, "We're favored?" He goes, "We're favored." I says, "Come on. You hit a home run. I think you hit 2 home runs.
I hit a home run. I led off with a home run.
You led the game off with a home run. We beat Randy Johnson."
Yeah.
And I turned to Sandelli. I said,
He just threw a perfect game his outing before.
Yeah.
You want to hear my Randy Johnson story?
Go ahead. Let it fly.
We're in Oakland, and Randy Velarde comes in, and he goes, "Got a bad neck. I can't move my neck. I got a crick in my neck." He goes, "You're going to play today." And I said, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go get treatment. I'll let you know." Randy's name is still on the board. We go through BP after BP. I'm looking at the board. There's no changes. I go up to Velarde. I said, "Are you going to play?" He goes, "I don't know. I'm going to try." Anyway, a half hour before the game, Art comes to me and says, "You're going to play second." I was like, yes, I can. Oh, I went in the cage. I was so ready. I was like, I can't wait I want to see what this guy's about. So the game starts. I haven't played in 24 games. 24 games, I haven't seen a live pitch. I get in the box, and I'm looking at it, and as soon as I go to load, strike one. I was like, oh, my God. Holy shit. Frank, you better get it going. Next pitch, hanging slider. I was so ready for the fastball. Hanging slider. I just watched it go in. Strike two. Anyway, he throws another couple of balls, and then he throws a high fastball. I swing as hard as I can, almost fall down, and I hear, "Sit the fuck down, bitch." I think it's someone in the stands. I'm walking back to the dugout. Huddy and Mulder are sitting there on the fence like this, going like this. I go, "What the fuck you guys laughing at?" And Huddy goes, "You gonna take that, Chino? He just told you to sit the fuck down, bitch." I said, "That was him?" He goes, "Yep." Well, make a long story short, I swung 6 more times as hard as I could, struck out 2 more times, and 2 more times he told me to sit the fuck down, bitch. I sat in my locker after the game, and I was like, "God, please let me face this guy when I'm playing every day, or or when I was hot. Please let me face him again." Sure enough, here we come in Toronto. I went back to the videos of how he pitched me, and how he pitched a perfect game. And whether it was 1-0 or 0-1, he was throwing a second pitch cutter. He throws me a fastball up and away. I said, here comes the cutter. Just sell out to it. 92 mile an hour cutter middle in, and I hit it out. And the pimp job, and I don't know if you remember, but I was just staring at him the whole time. And then I hit a double off him, and I got to second base, and I was like pulling my gloves off, looking at him like, where you at, Randy? Put my gloves in my pocket. I was like, where you at? Wouldn't even look at me. Then I got him when he came with New York with the Yankees. Do you remember when we did the first and third steal? We stole home?
Yes.
Giambi threw the ball over our dugout.
Uh,
Dude, that was hysterical.
Oh, God. You want to know why I love this guy? All right. So listen, we can talk about your stories for playing all day.
Oh,
what
God.
I want to get into now is, so you once again, you go back to the minor leagues, you recreate yourself as a coach when your playing days are over, and you work your way back to become a major league hitting coach. You work with so many good hitters. You help change Stanton. You help change his angle, his approach. I mean, you actually got him hitting the way everybody hit in the 70s.
Yeah.
You had I think Barry Bonds was with you. So tell us about your transition to a hitting coach and some of your beliefs and some of your thoughts and some of the stuff you think is good and some of the stuff you think is bad today.
Well, when I first decided to be a hitting coach, I was always intrigued by the hitting. I always wanted to know what I was doing wrong. And, I had no problem as a player going up to anybody and say, hey, man, well, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And every player that I would go up to and talk to, it didn't matter, would always talk to me like, hey, yeah, Roberto Alomar, right? I would go up to Manny, talk to Manny. I even talked to Bonds when he was in, Bonds loved talking to me. We had a good relationship, and I would always ask him, this and that. And I always helped my teammates because, I didn't play every day. So I would always watch my teammates and say, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I was very perceptive. I could see things. So when I decided I wanted to be a hitting coach, I decided I'm going to be the hitting coach I never had. The guy I never had. The guy that could tell me when I'm going good, what I'm doing, when I'm going bad, what I'm doing, that could keep me positive during the day, that could keep me out of my own head. So in order to do that, I had to learn how that hitter thought about hitting, how he thinks about hitting. Because you could tell somebody, yeah, you need to stay behind the ball, you need to let the ball travel. But they might be sitting there going, no, I'm a weight shift guy, and I want to catch that ball up front. And I want to, So you got to make sure you know how they think about hitting. Because you could sit there till you're blue in the face, and they'll 9 out of 10 times just tell you, yep, okay, yeah. Meanwhile, they go back and do exactly what they were doing. So you got to figure out how the person thinks about hitting. So once I figure that out, I need to go and say, okay, what are we looking for? What do you hit good? All this stuff. There's checklists. And I always start off with, where do you stand? Why do you stand on the plate? Why in the box? Where do you stand in the box? Why? Some players will look at you like they're crazy. Because can you see the plate? I mean, when you're standing up there looking at the pitcher, can you peripherally see the plate? Can you see the lanes up to the pitcher's release point? Because if you don't create those lanes, especially nowadays with all this movement and the high heat, if you can't create the lanes, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You got to be able to search. And then from where they stand on the plate, how's their loading action? Do they have good separation? So all these factors in with I could cover the plate. I could take the same bat path in, middle, away. With the same bat path, depth determines direction. And that's been like my biggest cliche or my biggest, saying all the time is depth determines direction. Depth will determine launch angle. Depth determines everything. But you got to be able to control the depth of the baseball with your lower half or you're going to be in trouble. So that's what I really pounded. Strike zone awareness If you can't separate and you can't see, how are you going to have strike zone awareness? And that's what I brought, and that's what I learned with the Yankees. They had their cage routine, but they had to do our cage routine first. So you got to do what we want you to do, master this, 7-ball system, flipping the ball, only hit the balls that cross 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. You make them pick out numbers. And if they learn off of flipping that I can control these lanes, now you bring it up with the pitching machine. And now you all of a sudden get them recognizing that they got to get ready to see, not just go to the spot.
So when you're talking about the balls, explain to everybody, because I know what you're talking about, but explain to them what you're talking about with the balls and how you're getting the concentration and getting to identify where the best part of the plate is to hit the ball.
So the 7 balls, if you're a right-hander, it's inside out. So the inside ball is a 1, 7 balls across the plate. It fits perfectly. It even gives the half a ball that the umpires love to call that they should just make it a 24-inch plate. But anyway, 1 through 7 at the front of the plate. Inside's a 1, 7's outside. So you want to eliminate the 1 and the 7. So those are pitches, right? So we teach guys 3, 4, 5 is right down the middle. 2, 3, 4 is middle in. 4, 5, 6 is middle away. We never want to miss middle. Shh, get out. We never want to miss. We never want to miss middle. So we're looking middle away. You have to work from the outside in. You cannot work inside. You cannot look 4 and adjust away. That's when you lose your barrel. So you got to always work from the outside in, right? And with that, you're teaching guys to get ready to see, and if it's not there, take it. If it's not there, take it. If it's there, take it. So by picking out 2 or 3 balls on the plate, if the ball immediately doesn't start in that lane, you're able to take it.
Right.
And that's how they learn. They learn pitch recognition.
So I'm not trying to rush you through this because we only have an hour and we could talk about this forever, but talk to the people about how you help Stanton make an adjustment.
So Stanton
and why, Frank?
All right. The biggest thing with Stanton was he was always mechanical. So what blocked him from hitting was he was always thinking about mechanics, right? So if he didn't have a good game, mechanics. You could talk about mechanics all day, but if you don't have a good approach, a poor approach makes poor mechanics. So if you're looking in and you swing at the ball away and you go and look at your mechanics and say, oh, I'm doing this. Or if you're looking away and they throw a ball in and you get jammed, it's like, oh, I came around. No. You're not sticking to your approach. So a poor approach is going to make poor mechanics. So Stanton was a mechanic guy. He always wanted to tinker. Well, I don't feel my hands. I don't feel this. I don't feel that. So we started off with, okay, you don't hit off the tee, flips, and batting practice with the same loading action. Why? I don't know. Okay, we need to do it the same. You can't flat foot off the tee. You can't toe tap and flips and then leg kick in the game. I said, we can't do that. So we went through all this stuff, and I finally got him to do everything the same. And I always knew that there was getting hit in the face was in there, okay, because he would leak. He would leak. And not even his face would leak sometimes. His lower half would leak a lot. So they started throwing him up, way up and in, buzz his tower, and then throw him all the way. Well, when you're taking a pitch and it's coming at your head and you're going like this with the movement, that two-seam can chase you.
Right, you're in trouble.
So I said to him, and I talked to Hawk first, Andre Dawson. I talked to Dawson. I said, you hit crossed, right? I said, why? And he goes, I don't know, kept my front side in. And he goes, if I leaked a little bit, I was still closed. I said, I'm doing that to Stanton. I said, I might need you to confirm that for me. He goes, yeah, I'll say whatever you want. So Mike's frustrated. He's in the cage. He's frustrated. He goes, I don't understand. I keep missing these cookies. I keep missing these balls right there. I mean, middle away, I'm missing them. I'm stepping in the bucket. I can't stop. And I says, I have a solution. It will fix it. I know it will work. He said, yeah, what is it? So we set up his feet, and I said, you're going to put your foot. So I made him take his foot to the plate. That's the distance his front foot's going to start at. And then his back foot was even with his heel. I said, if you happen to leak, you will leak back to square. Yeah, but everybody says I can't hit like this. And I'll go, we won't talk about who they are.
Right,
but I said, fuck that. You could do it. I says, nobody who's telling you this is as strong as you and could miss hit balls. I said, you're going to make way more contact. You're going to be shorter to the ball. Your path is going to be shorter because you're going to be on a firm front side. And I called him Mike. I said, Mike, you're set up already that if they buzz your tower, you can just turn in.
Right.
Now you're preset to turn in. You protect your face and you protect your hands. And that's really the key that set him up. So
he took the fear away from him.
Yes. JP, he was hitting tomahawks. Fultonevich, 97 at his freaking collarbone up and away. Tomahawk and shit. And then it was game over. The fear was gone, and that was basically the thing. Getting him to buy into it, but he never leaked no more. It was unbelievable.
So it just goes to show you that, and for the minor leaguers who might be listening, even whoever's listening that plays the game, first of all, you're never too old to learn. You have to make adjustments, and you have to have a coach that you trust, that's willing to ask you the questions why, and then you can work from there. And that leads me into the next question, which I know is a loaded question. Hitting today sucks. The approaches are not good. The settling for strikeouts, the lack of contact. What do you see, and how can we correct it?
I think the best way to correct it, well, what we see is guys are being rewarded for certain things which are wrong. Oh, this guy's got an average exit velocity of 95. We need to promote him. What? This guy does this. They're getting rewarded for the wrong things. They're getting paid in the big leagues. If they hit 216 with 20, they're getting paid. So they're getting rewarded the wrong way. Until that stops, it's nothing's going to change. But the way to correct it is going back and teaching every kid that hitting 300 is a great thing. The batting average is a great thing. And here's why. When you teach a kid that you want to be a 300 hitter, now they're going to take their walks. They're going to be more selective. They're going to have a better two-strike approach. They're going to put the ball in play more. They're going to bunt more. They're going to play the game of baseball more. They're going to be greedy guys for their batting average, but yet still help the team win. They'll be able to stay inside a ball with two strikes and play it back and get that jam shot. You got a chance with a jam shot line drive somewhere or a jam shot ground ball if you got some wheels than you do striking out. When we were growing up and when we were playing, a strikeout, the biggest thing to make you say, God damn it, fuck, is a strikeout or a bleeder back to the pitcher with the bases loaded. Other than that, striking out was like he beat you. You just got beat. When you could just strike out and everybody's okay with it. Now when it's first and third, one out in the playoffs, and you need that run, and he can't bunt, he can't hit the hole because he can't let the ball get deep. He doesn't have contact points for that, and all he's trying to do is catch it out front. And now he pops up or strikes out, pops up to the infield or strikes out, and now you're going, okay, Joe Madden, why didn't your team score any runs in the playoffs? Well, we got to get back to situational hitting. It's not situational hitting. It's hitting. Fundamentals of hitting, being able to have back control and control the contact points. Guys with that mentality of trying to hit 300 creates a better hitter.
It just, when you look at hitting today, it's almost as if a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter doesn't believe in hitting the ball the other way. Talk about that a little bit.
You got to be able to hit the ball the other way. Listen, the biggest thing is winning baseball. Is this baseball card baseball, or is this winning baseball? Are we here to win championships, or are we here to be an Instagram social media star for the month and get paid and be able to just say I make 10 million a year? That's the problem. Winning baseball and baseball card baseball. Am I doing it for myself, or am I doing it for the team? So if you're not getting these guys when you first draft them and have a hitting plan for them, have all the necessary things for them to get better, sit down and have a meeting and say, guys, here's what we see you as. Here's what you need to improve on. Here's what you're good at. Here's what you need to improve on. Player evaluations. Then they don't need to go to somebody in the offseason and get all screwed up, because that's another problem. Allowing your property that you signed to go somewhere else and listen to somebody else say something, and now you come back and Frank Menechino has to spend the rest of the spring training fixing him from the shit that worked off a tee or flips. Now you're going to come here and try to hit 95 belt high and you can't even make contact, or you're popping it up? Come on, guys. We can't allow our players to go to just any Tom, Dick, and Harry in the offseason and change something. Dominate what you do good and give them that takes a lot of work. That we have to sit down and have player evaluations like we did with the Yankees. We sat down everybody and they had their evaluations and they had all their stuff they needed to work on, so they knew when they came to spring training, here's what you got to work on and here's what you got to get better on. And it works. But you can't allow them to go anywhere. So, guys, pick who you teach hitting with. And I use the analogy fishing. If me and you are fishing on the boat and I'm using a red lure and I'm catching a fish every time and you got a blue lure on, are you going to stay with your blue lure, or are you going to look into me and put the red one on and catch fish? So if you're a good hitter, why would you want to stop and go and look what somebody else is doing? There is no magic potion. Do what you do good. Look at the comps, the players that you're comparable with. See what they do. Now, all it is about mastering your craft, not learning something new, because you master your craft before you could get a little fancy with your game planning, not your mechanics. Your mechanics should never change. It's your game planning, your thought process, and working what part of the plate you're looking for. And I'm a true believer, you have to dominate middle away. You have to. Every great hitter I've ever talked to, and I don't even have to say anybody, it's Barry Bonds. You dominate middle away. You will react into the ball you could comfortably hit in, you'll react. If it's way in, you'll take it. If that guy throws 3 on the inside and he gets one from the umpire, so be it. Dominate middle away, because you can even hit the ball one ball length, 2 ball lengths off the outside better than you can in. But if you're concentrated and worried about getting jammed and worried about the sinker in, you're screwed. You're a 190, 160 hitter. You're done. Dominate middle away.
And it's funny, when you look at the great hitters, they're not afraid to take their walks.
You have to. You have to.
I don't know if you were on the team at the time, but we were playing the Giants. It was the Interleague. And Bonds came up on Friday night. He walked 4 times. On Saturday, he walked 3 times. The one fastball he got to hit, he hit it off the windows in left center field. And I remember talking to some of the players, and I said, what did you learn from the weekend? He had Sunday off, Bonds. I said, he walked 7 times out of 8 at-bats. In the one chance he got to hit, first of all, he was ready. He didn't miss it, and he stayed on the ball, and he hit it. If those windows weren't there, would have went through those windows at the Sky Dome. I mean, that was one of the most impressive things I said. he was not afraid to take his walks. And I don't know if we're teaching the fact of dominating and understanding the strike zone and being confident enough to take a walk.
Well, in order to take a walk, you cannot abandon your approach after 0-1, right? One strike, and now it's like, oh shit, I don't want to get to 2 strikes. The fear of 2 strikes is what's stopping guys from walking. And the good teams and the good hitters will arise. He will foul off bastard pitches. Why? He's playing the ball back. He's letting the ball get deep. He's ready. And, I got a simple drill for that, or an analogy. If you are ready for the chest high fastball, if you are on time and ready to just make contact with that chest high and away fastball, if you could just make contact with that with your timing, you are on time and ready to see every pitch in the strike zone. You will see everything. But if you are late and you have no separation and you are late and fast and just guessing and going to the spot, you can't foul off bastard pitches. But if you are on time and ready for a chest high, 95-mile-an-hour fastball at chest high, you're on time for anything. And it's simple. And I get guys to do it all the time. They're like, oh my God, I never heard this before.
Right.
But the approach is key. The approach. The hitters' meetings, 99% of hitters' meetings are garbage. They're garbage. You're going to give me a hitters' meeting. You're going to tell me about the hitter. You're going to tell me about the pitcher and this and that. But meanwhile, I got 15 guys back here that have 15 different approaches.
Right.
So in the hitters' meeting, you give them a red flags. Hey, listen, when this guy's going good, he's going to be down in the zone. As soon as you see him start elevating the ball, take a strike, because he's starting to, little red flags. And Willie Frazier was my favorite freaking advanced scout because, number one, he was a pitcher. Number two, he could tell me what a pitcher can and cannot do. Frankie, if this guy starts getting strikes in, if he gets a strike called in, it's a fluke. Tell your hitters not to worry about it. Just disregard it. He cannot do it. He could do it once in a while. I loved having Willie Frazier because he could tell me what the pitchers cannot do. And
yeah, he's not shy either, is he?
No.
Which hitters do you like today to watch?
I really like Rise. I mean, the kid's unbelievable, and he's good against lefties. I watched Mookie Betts the other day. I mean, that guy amazes me. I just can't believe how good he is.
And how about the fact he's playing shortstop now?
Dude, I was speaking to Miguel Rojas, and he's like, I said, are you helping him out? He goes, Frank, I showed him a couple of things, but no, he's just –
yeah.
He looks like a natural shortstop. It's unbelievable.
We talked about that on the show earlier. I think he's the best athlete in baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable. I can't believe the turnaround and how bad the Cardinals hitters have gotten. I cannot believe it. So I talked to a couple of guys in the organization, and they said they are 10 feet deep down the rabbit hole with analytics. He goes, Frank, they're taking swings and looking back at the hit tracks after every swing. He says it takes a guy 20 minutes to do his routine. They are so far down the rabbit hole. They're chasing feel.
As a hitter, even a pitcher, if you're a hitter and you hit a ball over the second baseman's head and it rolls to the wall, you got to look back and see that you hit that ball hard. You don't know you hit that ball hard. I mean, that's what we've become now. We've become so dependent on someone telling us what was good. We've lost the feel of the game, which that's a whole nother segment. We're going to have to get you back because we got a lot more to talk about.
Oh, I got something for that too.
We're pretty much out of time. Is there anything you want to close with from a hitting standpoint? You want to get off your chest, or is there you feel good?
I want to tell the kids, whoever's out there watching, uninstructed hitting. Go to your local cage. Go wherever you go. Tell your dad, mom, or whoever to leave you alone. Go in the cage and just hit. Put your headphones in. Do whatever you have to do. Try to control the depth of the baseball. Hit it to left, center, and right. And if you really want to challenge yourself, go in the fast cage, then go in the slow cage, then go in the medium cage, and then go in the fast cage, and practice different speeds and work on your contact points and work on your loading action by yourself.
Good
That's
advice. Well, Frankie, we can't thank you enough. We're going to let you go. We're going to get you back, though, because I know you got a lot more that you want to share with us, but we're out of time. And
All
we
right.
got to let you go. But
anytime. I'm ready anytime.
I could tell. I could tell. Well, anyway, that was awesome. Love your energy. Anyway, we're going to sign off for now. JP Ricciardi saying thanks for listening, and thanks, Frank Menechino. It was a great episode.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Wow. What a great guest, JP. I mean, everything is advertised, unfiltered, great stories, and a true New Yorker.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt where Frank Menechino's from. And when he gets over his shyness, he's going to be one heck of a guy.
Very shy guy.
Nothing held back. And that's what I like. He's got great passion for the game of baseball, and it's why he was a successful player enough to get to the big leagues. And he had a passion for hitting and just a passion for the game. So I like when we get those guests on. The guests aren't always going to be the Hall of Famers. They're going to be the guys that really had to grind and fight to get to the big leagues. And I think people who are watching and listening to the show are going to appreciate those guys because they're telling them how hard it is to become a major league player.
Yeah, and the story about Frank and Stanton, I mean, you don't know behind the scenes how, it affects a hitter's career, his life, his swing, his delivery. These are the untold and unsung heroes of the game that help elevate these players into elite status. And Frank has helped many of them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great coaches in the big leagues who help people's careers. A pitching coach who teaches someone a split, a pitching coach who teaches someone a changeup, a hitting coach that makes an adjustment. I mean, there's a lot of players that have success based on coaches putting their time and effort and seeing something in a player. And I think that's what's great when you hear these stories is, the game is filled with a lot of people contributing in a lot of different ends. So I think Frank's stories were great.
Yeah, and you know what I love, JP, about this and what you're doing? I mean, it really is. It's a lot of really deep dive into the inside of this game, and it's really it's very smart baseball talk. You're telling the stories, you're going over the intricacies of the game, you're bringing on guests that have these wonderful stories and experiences. So, as I said from the beginning, you're onto something with this Brushback, and I can't wait to just continue watching the growth of the show and the people you're bringing on, and it's like a build, which is it gets bigger every week, and I'm thoroughly enjoying just being part of this and witnessing, and knowing you for as long as I have, but just getting a sense of your experience and what you've done in the game, and then when you bring on these guests, these fellow baseball lifers who lived and breathed the game. It's just been very educating for anyone who's listening to this show or watching it on YouTube.
I appreciate that, John. And I think the thing that comes across, I hope, is the passion that everybody has for our game and the love they have and the way they want to pass on their knowledge and their information. And I think what we have to be caretakers of our game. And I'm real worried about the way the game's going. We're pushing away the caretakers and we're bringing in the undertakers. The guys that are explaining the game from a standpoint that most people can't relate to and understand. And hopefully the baseball people that we continue to bring on here will spark people's interest enough to keep saying, hey, I want to hear more about baseball and the way it's supposed to be taught. So hopefully we're onto something, but it's been enjoyable and we'll keep having great guests. And next week, I want to tell everybody, make sure you tune in because we've got a great guest. It's going to come from a totally different angle. It's going to bring a total different perspective. And I think he's going to rock the world of baseball a little bit next week. I don't want to give his name away, but I will tell you, if you want to hear some interesting stories, really tune in next week.
I was going to ask you who's on the on-deck circle for next week, and you're not giving me any hints. I guess it's going to be a big surprise for everyone. And if you say they're going to rock the world of baseball, it's got to be good. So I would definitely encourage everyone listening to this broadcast today or watching it on YouTube to tune in next week because JP is going to do more of the Brushback and And it's a pleasure, JP, as always. And that's going to wrap up this edition of the show. For JP, this is John Arezzi. Have a great week, everyone.